Welcome to your Build It video for this section. In this one, you're going to clone the Expensify application and you're going to modify the application router, converting it from routes for the Expensify app to routes for a little portfolio website. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that's going to look like. Right here, I have the final version. We have our header area, the portfolio title, and we got a few pages on this site. We have a home page, we have a portfolio page, and a contact page. The home page just has some static text, an H1 and a paragraph tag, and the exact same thing is true with the contact page, just a little bit of static information. You can see the URL here is /contact. On the home page, it is just the root URL. We also have /portfolio, that is the portfolio page, where we're going to be listing out the individual pieces of work that we have to show off. And when we click one of those, it's going to bring us over to /portfolio/1. So here I have the first portfolio item, and I use that value right here inside of the paragraph text. And if I go back to portfolio, you can see the link becomes bold. I switch over to item 2 with the URL /portfolio/2, and I grab that ID and I just dump it right here. So this is what I want you to create. We're going to start things off together, cloning the project and gutting it, then I will set you free. Let's go ahead and kick things off by actually cloning the project. Over here, I have the Expensify application. I'm just going to duplicate that directory and then we'll rename it to something more appropriate. We don't want to make any changes to the Expensify app. We're going to be building on that. So make sure to not gut that code. We want to leave all of that code in place. I have the duplicate. I'm going to change this over to portfolio site. And then we are going to go ahead and actually crack this open in the editor and in the terminal. I'm going to switch Visual Studio Code over to that brand new project. And once that's done, I will also switch into the terminal, and I'm just going to modify this first tab, navigating using cd ... to get out of the Expensify app folder, then into the portfolio site directory. Once I'm in there, we're going to be running the exact same command, yarn run dev server, to start up the development server. Now what we're seeing at localhost 8080 is still the Expensify application, but it's the cloned version. So as we make changes to portfolio site, like changing the title over to portfolio, we're going to see those changes reflected over here. We are going to be gutting all of the links since those will be different, so we can remove all of the instances of navlink. You're going to be creating your own for the new URL structure, and we're also going to be making some changes to app router. So in here, we're going to remove all of the current routes. We can leave the switch browser router and the not found page route in place since those will stay exactly the same. But you're going to have to add all of the other routes. Now the help page, the edit expense page, the add expense page, and the expense dashboard page, all 4 of those are going to go away. You're going to need to create 4 new components for those 4 new pages. Over inside of the components folder, before I set you free, I do want to delete those 4 files as well. So we're going to trash all 4 of those. Last up is the help page. And there we have it. So your job is to build up from scratch those routes. Now the important thing is getting the router part done using navlink in the header and using link on the portfolio list page. The details, the individual text I used, you don't need to match up exactly. It's perfectly fine if you use a different message for any of these. It's just the big picture stuff like the URLs, the navlinks, the links, getting the header on all pages, that sort of thing. Before I set you free, I have put together a little bit of documentation describing what I just outlined. Right here, I have all 4 routes outlined and what they should show. And I've also added a little bit of messaging around the header and the navigation. So you can refer back to this while you are going through the challenge. If you get stuck or you forget what routes you're supposed to create, just come here, take a peek, and then implement them. Take as much time as you need to knock this one out. Try to get everything working correctly. And once you're done, go ahead and click play. Welcome back. How'd that one go? I hope you were able to at least get part of the way done and get those routes set up. Maybe you got stuck somewhere along the way. Maybe you didn't. Either way, let's go ahead and go through the process together. So I'm going to kick things off by switching over to the portfolio site project, and I'm going to build up the routes here before I worry about linking to anything over inside of the header. So step 1 is to create a route for that home page. I'm going to create a new component. You might have called it something different. I'm just going to be calling this one homepage.js. And in here, we're going to go through the process we've used before. I need to import React from React. I'm going to set up my component, which could just be a stateless functional component for now. And I'm going to implicitly return some JSX. I'll add a div right here. And I'll toss an h1 and a paragraph tag inside. The details, adding both of these with the same text, wasn't important. I'm just going to go ahead and set some stuff up. Homepage. Actually, let's use welcome. Then for the paragraph tag, we will set that up for the following. This is my site. Take a look around. Perfect. The component is all done. We can now export it, export default home page, and then we can set up the route so this actually shows at the root of the application. Right here at the very top of Switch, before the not found page, I'm going to create an instance of route. We're going to be setting up the path, setting it equal to, inside of quotes, / for the root of the app. We already have the component, so I can set up component, referencing it, that is home page. And all I need to do from here is actually import home page. So I will do just that. Import home page from right here. We need to go out of the current directory into the components folder. And in there, we have the home page file. Fantastic. So the first application route is done, and I should be able to save app router and actually see this. Right here, I do get my welcome page. This is my site. Take a look around. Everything is showing up correctly. So let's go ahead and knock out some of the other ones. We're going to add that contact page. I'll do that next. Components, new file, contact page.js. This is going to be very similar to the homepage file, so I can just copy that code and paste it in here. And I'm going to change the homepage component over to the contact page component. And I will change the export as well. In here, I'm also going to switch up the h1 and the paragraph tag, contact me. And then we'll just put some dummy contact information. You can reach me at test@gmail.com. I'm sure someone actually has that email, and I'm sure they get a ton of spam. All right, so we have the contact page component in place, and setting up the application router for this one isn't going to be bad either. First up, let's just import it. Importing contact page from, go out of the current directory into the components folder. In there, we have contact page.js. Now we can set up the route. We're going to do that just below the homepage route and before the not found page. We need a new instance of route to define this route, and we need a path. And we also need a component. Now the path is going to be /contact. And when we are on that page, we're going to be showing the contact page component. I'm going to go ahead and save the application router. I'm going to switch over to /contact. And you can see right here that we're actually getting the welcome page. So this is where you needed to remember to use exact on this route. So right here, I want to set exact equal to true in order to make sure that this route doesn't match /contact. I only want to show the home page if I'm on this exact route. Right here with that tweak in place, I can see the contact page at /contact. And if I go to the root of the application, I still see my welcome page, which is great. Now we can go ahead and focus on the other two pages. We have the portfolio page where we list out the individual items, and we have the actual portfolio item page specific to one portfolio item. I'm going to go ahead and create the portfolio page first, right here. New file, portfolio, page.js, and alongside of that we will have portfolio item page.js for the individual item. Now it's okay if you had different names for either of these. That is perfectly fine. I'm going to start off using the template so I can just take contact page, copy it. I can actually close that down and close home page down. We're done with those two files. And I'm just going to paste the contact page component in here, changing it over to portfolio item. I'm going to change the name, and I will change the export. Now this is the page where we need to use the ID that's going to be part of the URL. So we know we're going to get the props in, and we know that to access the ID, we have to use the match prop that React Router passes down. So let's change the H1 first. That's going to be completely static. A thing I've done will be the title, and then down below, this page is for the item with the ID of, and then we'll just dump the ID to the screen. So right here, that would be props.match.params.id, which we used previously in this section. Now the portfolio item page component is all done. I can go ahead and actually save this file, and I can import it and set up the route. Over inside of App Router, step 1 is to import it. Importing portfolio item page from the file that we just created. In the components folder, we have portfolio item page. Now we can use that. We need to set up the route, and I'm going to toss that route right here, creating a new instance of route. And this time around, we do have a dynamic route. We have one of those URL parameters. So we are going to set up the path to equal, inside of quotes, /portfolio /:ID. So whatever comes here is going to be dynamic. It's not always going to be an ID of 1 or 2 statically. It's going to change. We want to match any ID that gets provided. Now, what does this path do? Well, this path just renders the component we set up. So we'll set component equal to, right here, the portfolio item page. Now we should be able to actually test this one out. I'm going to manually head over to /portfolio /23. And I do see the ID of 23 showing up on the A Thing I've Done page, which is a great next step. There's just one route left. That is the portfolio list page. Once again, I am going to just paste in the contact page that's still part of my clipboard, and we're going to build up from there. So I'll change the name first, portfolio page. And the portfolio page actually does need to access link from React Router because I want to link over to some individual items, which I'm just going to statically define. So I will import the named export link from React Router DOM. Now we can actually set up a couple of links linking over to that page. I'll change the H1 first. Right here, I will just say something like my work. And down below, I will change the paragraph tag. Check out the stuff I've done. Then we'll add some links down below. So I will add a few instances of the link component. Remember, with link, we do want to open and close it because we put the link text right inside. I'll have this one be item 1, and I will link to, inside of quotes, /portfolio /1, and then I'm going to take this line, duplicate it, and just add 1 for item 2. And we'll link over to the portfolio item with the ID of 2. Now this page is all done and we can actually wire this up. So over inside of the application router, I'm first going to import it. Importing portfolio page from /components /portfolio page.js. Now we have the component in place and we're going to set up the route, a new route, a new path for that route, /portfolio. Then the component we want to render, we already have access to that. We have access to that via the portfolio page import, and there we have it. We can now go ahead and test things out. Now, this is where I threw a little curveball your way. So if I save the application router as it currently stands, we're going to see that on the individual portfolio item page, we're now getting the thing that's supposed to show up on /portfolio. So I would expect to only see this stuff on this route, but I'm also getting it for the individual routes, which is not what I want. What you needed to do here was use exact again, because remember, this URL is just a subset of this URL. So this will be considered a match, just like the root of the application was always considered a match. To fix that, we have to use exact here as well, setting exact equal to true. Now, if we go ahead and actually save the router, we're going to see that on the individual item pages, we are correctly getting a thing I've done. And if I do go back to the portfolio list page, we are getting our links that go out to the individual item pages. So everything is working as expected. We now have all of the pages set up. And the last thing we need to do is to actually set up the navigation. And we're going to do that right over here inside of header. We don't need to import anything new. We already have navlink imported from the Expensify application. We're going to be creating a few instances of navlink by opening and closing the navlink element, and inside of there, we're going to toss the link text. For the first one, we will have home be the link text. Then I can duplicate this a couple of times after I finish filling it out. So we need to pass a couple props in. 2 equals / for home. We also want to use active class name. We've already set up the class selector, so all we have to do is provide that right here. If we're on the home page, we should set the is active class on the link. That's going to allow us to make the text bold. We also want to set exact to true, preventing this link from being bold when I'm on other pages. Now we should be able to go ahead and save the header file, and that one link should be working. I click home, and it brings me over to the home page, and the home link is bold. Now we can take this and copy the line down below. This time around, we want to create one for the portfolio list page. I'll just call this text portfolio. This one also needs to have exact equal to true. Otherwise, when I'm on the individual item pages, this link would be bold. We also want the active class name. We just need to change where the link goes to. Right here, it's / portfolio. Excellent. Now we can test that one out before we continue on. I'm going to go over to portfolio. It becomes bold. I'm going to click an item, and it does not become bold anymore, which is exactly what we were hoping for. The last link we need to create is an easy one. It is just the actual contact page link. I can take one of my nav links, copy it, and paste it down below. And right here, we're going to go ahead and just gut it. So we don't need exact true for this one. We can change the name over to contact, and we can just change the to prop to / contact, and there we have it. I'm going to save the header file over in the browser. We are getting the contact link, and if I click to it, it does bring us to the right place, and we'll notice that we're also getting the bold contact link. On the portfolio page, we see the correct stuff. We have a bold portfolio. On the home page, we are seeing the correct stuff with the bold home. If I do go to an individual item, you notice that none of the nav items are bold, and that's what I wanted. So everything is working really, really well. And there we have it. That is what I wanted you to accomplish. And the goal was to give you some more real world experience using React Router. Routing is at the core of every application. So getting comfortable with React Router is going to be essential when it comes to building out these bigger, more meaningful applications. So that is it for this video. And that is it for this section. In this section, we successfully set up client-side routing, allowing our application to have multiple pages. We did it for the Expensify app, and you just did it again for the portfolio site. Now, before we wrap up this video, I am going to switch Visual Studio Code back over to the Expensify app, and inside of the terminal, I'm going to shut down the dev server running in portfolio site and use cd // Expensify app to switch over to that directory. I'll clear the output, and once again, I'll be using yarn run dev server to start up the development server under that folder. This is going to bring us right back where we were at the beginning of the video, where we have the Expensify app showing up. This is the application that we're going to be building on for the rest of the course. In the next section, we're going to continue working with more complex data. Now that we have routing in place, we can actually focus on building out the application, which I'm very excited to get to. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next section.